Hi, Analisa Six here with the Lady of Leisure and the Sober Curator to bring you the February 2025 horoscope for the zodiac sign of Libra for Sun and Rising placements. Hi, Libra. Welcome to February. We are in Aquarius season, and I'm getting these videos out a little bit late, which is pretty much my forte at this point. And I feel like Libras, you are kind of the kings and queens and thems of being late. So, I mean, I know plenty of Libras who are on time, but I just think it's kind of an air sign thing. You all kind of are a little bit more on the time management spectrum of there being a lot of space. There's some space there. And my progressed sun moved into Libra out of Virgo last year. So I feel like I've gotten on the Libra train of like being a little bit more nonchalant about time management. I'm okay with it. I'm cool with it. I used to be a lot more rigid and crazy, and it's nice to be a little bit more relaxed, even if, it'd probably be preferable if I got these videos out on time. But let's go ahead and get into where Aquarius season hits for the horoscope chart. I thought I had the horoscope chart up already, and I'm so dumb. I did not do that at all. Okay, I have it up now. Okay, there we go. So, the area of the chart for the Libra horoscope that Aquarius hits in every year is going to be the fifth house, which is the house that Leo traditionally rules. So, in the fifth house, the themes that come up for us are self expression, especially around creativity. Creativity, I had a reading with someone that saw themselves as not creative. And I believe this was a Libra that I was reading for. I can't remember exactly now, but she didn't think she was a creative person because she wasn't an artist specifically. And I want to define creativity as a Leo myself, who's, this is a fifth house placement for Libra. Creativity isn't about whether or not you're an artist or a musician or a poet or, anybody that's like in the arts. Creativity is the act of creating in whatever avenue it is, whether it's having a child, making food, we can be creative in our problem solving skills around ideas or thought processes. We can be creative in our communication with others. We can be creative in how we organize our day or our apartment or house or garden. Creativity is something, with how we put ourselves together too, or how we dress. Leo and Libra are both usually pretty artistically inclined and inspired by, you know, beauty and aesthetics in life to some degree. Libra tends to be a little bit more intellectually focused sometimes with that stuff. But come on, buddy. But in Aquarius, like Aquarius, isn't necessarily focused on aesthetics or beauty or anything like that. It's more focused on connection and wanting to be a part of the community, wanting to do, community activities or social activities, being a part of a group, feeling connected to people in some way. And then in the fifth house, we have this like need for self expression and how we're, being creative in that self expression. So, creativity in self expression can be how we communicate or how we put ourselves together, in an outfit. It can also be how we are showing up in our community in terms of the skills that we have that we're giving to people. Like all of those things can be a part of self-expression and a part of creativity. The other part of the fifth house that is influencing you right now is the need for joy and pleasure. And so the fifth house has a connection to children. And if we think about kind of what children represent in life, it's kind of this young mind that has more of a wonder about things. It's kind of seeking experiences, adventure. Children tend to really be pleasure focused. The ego is kind of at the forefront of this is what I want, and this is, I want the extra cookie, even if it hurts my stomach, or I want to go to the park and play. I want to live in a fantasy world and play with my things or draw or do whatever. And so the fifth house, for adults, like it represents the need for us to explore areas that make us happy, bring us joy, kind of where can we find this inner child that wants to play and enjoy life? And I think that's why art can be such a positive thing for people, even if you're not an artist yourself, even just like going to an art show and experiencing art. I went to an art show recently, so that's why it's on my mind, but it was just a very immersive experience there. There was a lot of different things going on, and it gets you in touch with that inner play. Going to a movie, can do that. Going to the beach or spending time in nature can do that. It's really up to you. But in Aquarius is really centered on being a part of our community, doing, volunteer work, or also hanging out with friends, being social, really wanting to feel group connection, and really wanting to express yourself in a group connection way. If you also are political at all, getting involved in your local politics or something like that is also really supported with Aquarius season for Libra. So we start out with the sun here in February for you. We also have Mercury, the planet of communication, here for you. And Mercury, when it's passing through the fifth house, really does lend itself to us being in a state of really thinking about these themes that I just went over, and also wanting to express the self through the word or writing, things like that. So that's also something like, if you're a writer or somebody that enjoys journaling, that could also be really positive for you right now. We also have Pluto here, but Pluto's going to be here for the next 20 years, so I'm not going to get into that. So there's a lot going on in the fifth house for Libra dominant people in the horoscope. The other energy that we start the month out with is Venus finishing up her stint in Pisces. So Venus has been passing through your sixth house, and the sixth house is the house that has to do with health and wellness. It's also the house that has to do with our daily routines and how we organize things. Venus is the planet of relationship, so this could also involve your partner in some way. If you are in a relationship, if you're not in a relationship, this can also just be a relationship to these themes. And also, maybe like acts of service are kind of common in this area of the chart. It's more of a Virgo theme, but the sixth house shares some of those attributes. In Pisces, we really want to feel more of an emotional connection to our partners around daily routines and around how we're connecting in that way. So that's been coming up in January, and then you're finishing that up at the beginning of February, and then Venus enters Aries. And what's interesting is that Venus is your ruling planet. So Libra is traditionally ruled by Venus, and Venus is, relationships, harmony, balance, beauty, aesthetics, romance, all that kind of stuff. Also money, our relationship to money, material security, that kind of stuff. And Aries is the opposite sign of Libra. So in the astrology wheel, Aries and Libra rule the polarity. So Aries is cardinal fire that rules the self and your independence, your autonomy, your individuation away from groups or other people. That's Aries. And then Libra is all about partnership, relationship, balance, equality, harmony, karmic cycles, consequences, the karmic consequences of our actions, like that kind of stuff is Libra. And so when we have Venus, the ruling planet of you, Libra, in the opposite sign of Aries, she's considered to be what's called her detriment. And where this can be positive for you is that when a planet is in its opposing sign, even though it says, it's in detriment, it's not its most comfortable placement, it's also an opportunity for integration of polarity. So it's like an opposites attract kind of thing, where you have the opportunity to learn how to integrate these two parts of the self in a more holistic way that in turn helps you evolve and helps you grow. So, if we think about Venus and Libra, it's very centered around Libra themes. My dogs keep trying to jump on the couch and falling and not making it. It's making me sad right now. I feel very distracted by my dogs while I'm talking about this. I'm sorry. They're walking around doing weird stuff. Can you come up here and just cuddle me? Come here. Can I see you? Trying to help him out and get him on the couch, but he doesn't want to. Oh, you did it. Okay, you're right here. Yeah, come here. Come here. Okay, so Venus in Aries is an opportunity for integration of opposites. So with Venus in Aries, Venus is going to be in the opposite house to your first house where the horoscope is, where Libra is. So Venus is going to be passing through the seventh house, which Venus traditionally rules the seventh house. Oh my gosh. The squeaker, the squeaky toy while I'm trying to do the video. It's so hard to do videos when you have dogs that want to play with you all the time. And so then I prioritize my dogs and I don't get the videos done. I've been prioritizing my dog so much because he's so young. I've been putting off getting this done. And I thought that I took him on a big long walk. He got to go on a couple car rides. I thought I had the needs met, but I do not, I guess. I apologize if you're going to hear this dog squeaker in the background. But yeah, so Venus is the ruler of the seventh house, and traditionally Libra sits here, but in the Libra horoscope, everything's flipped. So Aries is here, but you have Venus passing through this area. So the seventh house is that house that rules relationships, partnerships, you know, partnerships of all kinds, like romance, business, best friendships, that kind of stuff. And Venus is going to be in Aries passing through here for quite a while because Venus stations retrograde in March of next month. So let's talk about kind of what Venus and Aries symbolizes. Venus in Aries is a great time to focus on your personal relationship to yourself. So this is your identity, your perspective of self. It's really in harmony with the fifth house energy that you have, where the fifth house really wants you to kind of figure out how you creatively express yourself and find joy. And in, Venus and Aries is all about how do you love yourself? Like, how do you pour in your own cup and what drives you? Aries is all about our passions, our willpower, our wants, our needs on an individual level. It does not have to do with what other people want of us. It doesn't have to do with other people's needs. However, when we have Venus passing through the seventh house, it does have to do with other people. But there's an interesting theme when it's Venus and Aries in the seventh house. It's how do we create relationships that are secure enough to where we can also practice individuation and autonomy within the relationship in a positive way. So an example of that is, let's say that you are a very codependent person, you're a very indecisive person, if you're a Libra, and you defer to your partner on most things because you don't want to rock the boat. Maybe you want to people please. I know plenty of Libras that are very decisive and good at advocating for themselves, but that's kind of what this is trying to get to, is if you're somebody that has a harder time advocating for yourself or setting a boundary or a tone or being autonomous within the relationship, this energy is an opportunity to practice that. Now, it's not just your romantic partnerships, it's any kind of one-on-one dynamic. So this could be with, again, a business partnership, a colleague at work, or a friendship. It's just about you figuring out how to be an autonomous person on your own while also, being in a relationship dynamic. And one of the things too is kind of working through the fact that you have to know how to hold your own while also knowing that even with that, you still have to do the Libra side of it, which is understanding compromise, equality, all of that kind of stuff. So it's kind of an interesting thing because it's like this opportunity for integration and you're kind of pushed into more of the Aries energy. But it's like anytime we get pushed into one side of the polarity, we don't want to lose all of the wisdom that we have about, the other side of it too. So it's like, while we might be working on trying to be more autonomous or individuated from a partnership dynamic, we are still in the partnership dynamic. We don't necessarily want to lose fairness, equality, harmony, balance, all about that, that kind of stuff. But whatever kind of starts in February with this Venus transit, when Venus stations retrograde next month, which I'll get into that in the horoscope next month, there is going to be conflict in relationships. So you will be working out some of these themes, and Venus is going to have a whole kind of thing going on that I'll talk about in each video. But this is kind of the beginning of it. So it's a big deal, who am I versus the relationship and all that kind of stuff. The other energies to kind of talk about too, starting out the month, is we've got Jupiter on that same day that Venus enters Aries. Jupiter is stationing direct in Gemini. So we've had Jupiter retrograde for some time. Now it's finally stationing direct. And the area that Jupiter's been passing through for the horoscope is the ninth house, which is the house that rules our values and beliefs. It's also the house that rules the law, publishing, education, higher education. So, trade schools or any kind of continued education. Because it rules long distance travel, it also can rule education through other cultures, like studying abroad somewhere. It's also a house that represents teaching, so disseminating knowledge and information just as much as absorbing it. It's also the house that rules astrology, spiritual studies, theology, that kind of stuff. When Jupiter's here, it's really trying to push us into these new territories around those themes. So we're being asked to grow beyond where we've been, especially in Gemini around perspectives, how we communicate, how we see the world. It's asking us to grow and expand and kind of get out of our own way if we've been keeping our world a little bit small. And so with Jupiter retrograde, we might have been in a reflect, review, reassess period around those themes, spiritual beliefs, legal pursuits. If we're working on writing a book or a novel and there's publishing parts of it, like those are things that are getting sorted out. If there's trips that we want to take, all of that kind of stuff, the direct motion helps kind of move all those things along. So that's something that starts in February is Jupiter finally stationing direct. And we also are finishing up in February, Mars is retrograde. So Mars stationed retrograde in Leo in November, I believe. Let's see here. Oh no, I'm sorry, in December. So we had Mars station retrograde at 6 degrees Leo in December. It's been retrograde. It moved back into Cancer in January. And then at the end of February, Mars is going to station direct on the 25th. Now, the area of the horoscope for Libra that Mars has been retrograde in is the 10th house, which is the house of career. And so if you've been feeling a little bit like work stuff has been hard, or there's been a lot more conflict or tension in the workplace, you can thank Mars for that. Mars also makes a square to Libra, so it's not the most comfortable energy to be going through. But once Mars stations direct at the end of the month, whatever conflict you've been under the last few months is going to start to kind of gain some sort of momentum towards figuring it out and working it out. But if you are, kind of in the midst of some career changes or turmoil, you'll be fully out of the woods with that. It looks like, let's see, I'll give you an exact date. So April 18th is when Mars leaves your 10th house. So, you've got pretty much until then with Mars kind of in this influence, so if you're thinking about leaving your job, you're thinking about needing to make some changes at your job or in your career, Mars is here kind of influencing that for you over this time. So that's a big one. When Jupiter moves into Cancer, which isn't going to happen for a few months, let's see when that is. Jupiter enters Cancer in June, so around June 11th. It's going to be entering your career house. And that's actually really good if you are, hoping for some positivity in your work. So I'm giving you that foreshadow because I don't want you to just think like, oh my God, my career is fucked all year. It's not. It's just for right now. This Mars energy is kicking up some dust so you can really figure out what it is you want. And Jupiter coming into the 10th house is going to help bless your career, but that's going to be in June. So you'll have to kind of go through some stuff until then, which we all are. We're all under it. So you're not alone. All right. So let's talk about the moons that we have coming up this month for you. So our full moon hits on February 12th, and it's happening at 24 degrees of Leo. And this is hitting in your 11th house, which is the house that represents your community. And so kind of similar to some of the 5th house themes that I was talking about, we have Leo energy, but in your community house. So the way that you express yourself and share yourself with your community and also your friendship circles, all of that kind of stuff is up and kind of highlighted for you during this full moon. And full moons are a great time for setting intentions towards what we want to manifest in our lives. Also, energy that we need to release and let go of that's no longer serving us. So really good things for you to set intentions towards are your friendships, your, ways that you show up in your community, setting intentions around, how you express yourself in your community. Those themes are all prominent for you during that time. And if there's people, places, or things that you're like, I'm so over this dynamic, this full moon's a great time to kind of shed that skin and tell the universe, like, I don't want friends in my life like this, or I don't want to be a part of community groups that, don't align with my values, all that kind of stuff. On February, I'm sorry, let's not go to the end of the month yet. Let's talk about the next thing. So Mercury is going to enter Pisces on February 15th, and that is happening in the basically Mercury is leaving the 5th house and entering the 6th house. The sixth house is that house that Virgo traditionally rules, that has to do with our daily routines, our health and wellness, also how we're of service. And so, this is a really positive time for you to put order and structure to your daily life. Get really organized about your work, your health, your money, just all of those things. So, Mercury and Pisces in the sixth house is helping you in that way. And then on the 18th, we enter Pisces season. And so the sun's going to enter this area of the chart and help you, which is really great. And then Mars will station direct on the 25th. And then on February 27th, we have a new moon at 9 degrees Pisces. And so that's also highlighting the sixth house for you. So refresh on what a new moon is. A new moon is a time for you to set intentions around things that you want to manifest in the coming month. And so this is, a really positive time for you to tell the universe, I want good health. I want a good routine, any kind of like progress that you want to make on those areas that I expressed about the sixth house. Like this is a really positive time for you to set intentions around that. And when I say set intentions, there's so many different ways you can do that. You can meditate on what you want. You can write it down and stick that note under a candle and meditate with the candle. You can do a vision board. There's so many different ways that you can set intentions around a moon. Doing a ritual, there's tons of rituals online that you can do if you have anything in mind. But, the sixth house Pisces combo is a really good time to really focus on your order in your life, your structure of your life, and then also the work that you're doing in the world, how you're of service, and your personal health and wellness too. So any kind of patterns that you are in that aren't helping you, like if you've got a bad exercise or diet or lifestyle kind of situation going on right now, this is a really positive time for you to set intentions around, how you want to um, my dogs. All right, Libra, I'm going to let you go. I spent a lot of extra time with you because you were my first video of the day, and I tend to always do that. Good luck. I will see you guys in March.